Hi, Miss Johnson. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. What's going on?
Oh, so what happened is I actually just got off the phone with IMT. I spoke to Bob from IMT, and my wife, who just left on an overnight business trip, she took my bag accidentally. We have identical bags, so she took my bag accidentally that has my keys and it has my badge to get into work, and it's just a bad situation over here. So I called them, explained the situation, and stated that I wanted to use my sick time, and they're telling me that I can't use my sick time that's allotted to me through my company benefits. So I wanted to call and
Well, wait
report.
a minute. How are you sick if it has to do with the keys? I don't understand that.
Well, I was getting to that, the mental illness portion of it, because I'm so stressed out. Everything is out of whack. My wife was on work, and I just really stressed out right now. I have a whole lot going on. So I'm actually breaking out in hives as we speak. I'm just sweating profusely. Like, I'm just not in a good state right now. So that's what I was explaining to Bob, but he was still telling me that, I can't use that a lot of time towards me, even though it fits that situation.
Well, you told him that you were sick, right?
I did. I explained the situation and explained the ramifications of the situation and what it has caused on me and how it has made me sick.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to listen to the call. Obviously, I can't just take what you said. I got to listen to the call and hear what they had to say and see how the call is going to go back. Based on some prior things you've had happen, something like this can get you terminated. So yeah, I'll have to listen to the call and get back with you.
Well, something like this can get me terminated. I'm using my benefits. So if something like this can get me terminated, something like this can also get you sued.
Well, we don't want to go there. We definitely don't want to go there, but you have to know how to use your benefits. And you've had other prior things that has happened before that. So I'm just telling you, I mean, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you that you're very new with the company. And so because of that and the prior things I've had to talk to you about, I'm just telling you what it is. This is an operation, this is a business, and this is how the business has to run. So I'm just letting you know. So I'll get back with you and I'll let you know where everything stands.
Okay, that would be greatly appreciated. And again, just to reiterate, I'm just using the benefits that are allotted to me as being an employee. I know I'm a newer employee, but I've met all my probationary periods. These are benefits that are allotted to me. That's why I wanted to call and report this instance.
Okay, well, when my boss comes back, we will listen to the call. She's on vacation right now, and I'll follow back up with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. So that was the first scene, and this is a true story. If you're wondering if this happened or not, this is absolutely a true story. Although me and my partner Anthony, we are reenacting the parts. Anthony playing the employee, myself playing the supervisor. I want you to take some time right now and think about the things that you think went well in the conversation. But what are some of the things that you thought didn't go so well? And the reason why I want you to write those things down is because later on in the conversation, we're going to have some commentary back and forth with me and Anthony. And I want to make sure that if we missed any points, you can comment and tell us some points also that stood out to you. All right, here's 2 weeks later, the employee contacting their supervisor.
Good afternoon, Miss Johnson. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Doing a lot better. Doing a lot better. So I just wanted to give you a call. I know you're busy, but I wanted to call
Yeah.
and follow up on the conversation we had a couple weeks ago regarding how IMT is coding me, because I'm just looking at my pay period and it's seeming like they
For me, I need to get that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm listening.
uh okay. So if you, as I was stating, it looks like they coded me out like a no call, no show. And that's not what the situation was, as I explained to you. So I wanted to give a follow up call to see if there was any progress that had been made on this situation. I know your boss was out of the town at the time, but if you had had a chance to speak with her about it and see how this could be rectified.
Do that. Okay. So like I told you before, my boss is out of town. She should be back any day now. So when she calls back, I will call you back and follow up with you at that time. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
Thank you. Yeah.
okay, bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Hey, so we had the second reenactment with the employee and the supervisor, and 2 weeks had passed, and the leader did not call the employee back. The employee had to call, excuse me, the leader back. So again, that was a shorter scenario. But again, I want you to think about in this situation, what do you think went well? And what are some of the points that you think did not go well? Did the supervisor, was they a duh? Was they a Lea-DUH-ship? So let's talk
Hey, how
about
are you
it.
doing
Again, we're going to
today?
have commentary later on, but let's go
Doing pretty
into
good. How's
the
it going?
final scene.
It's going good. I had a chance to listen to the call. And I have to be mindful. You did not normally, when you're calling out for that benefit, you do have to call out at least 3 hours in advance. And you didn't do that. And so this is why she had put that occurrence on your schedule, because you didn't call out the allotted time that is needed to call out. You have to call out 3 hours before. I cannot stress that enough. You have to call out 3 hours before. And according to your time, I don't know if you did a timestamp on your phone, if you checked on that. From what I see, you did not call out. It looks like it was about a little bit less than 3 hours. So I'm going to go ahead this time and I'm going to remove the occurrence, but I have to be honest with you. This could have got you fired. So it's important for you to be very abreast on your rules and what you can and cannot do as a new employee. Because like I said, this is something that can impact your job, but I will go ahead and remove the occurrence this time. Because I know you're new and you don't understand all the rules and stuff, but going forward, please make sure if you're going to be out sick, you call in 3 hours before.
So, yes, I understand and I appreciate. If I knew that I was going to be sick before 3 hours before, if I had anticipated that situation, I would have done that. The thing about the situation is, at the time that it happened is the time that I called. There was no anticipating that. So, I appreciate it and I understand everything you're saying. And trust me, I don't want to be on this phone call, having this kind of discussion with you. I understand that you're just trying to reinforce what the rules say, but I also feel like there's some human parts of this that are missing because I didn't know that that was going to happen. And stuff that'll get me fired, I'm a newer person, but again, I already met my probationary period. I followed all the rules. So stuff that'll get me fired, again, as I mentioned, this is the kind of stuff that can also get you sued, because that would be a wrongful termination, considering I'm using all my benefits and following the
Well,
rules.
I'm not, listen, I just work for the company. I'm just telling you the rules. It's a business. You can do whatever you want to do. I've already removed it. I'm just telling you, you have to follow the rules. This is a business. It's not it's an operation, and the operation cannot function if I don't have people doing what they need to do. I have 30 people that report to me. So it is imperative that you guys do what you're supposed to do.
Totally understand. That's exactly why I called. I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing.
Okay, well, it's already removed. Did you need anything else?
No, I do not. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Ms. Johnson.
No problem. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, everybody, let's get into some commentary. Pull your notes out and let's talk about it. Don't forget to comment if you see that we missed a point. Thanks.
All right. Let's have some commentary around this situation and what actually happened. So we had an employee that was struggling with some mental illness, right? And but really didn't want to disclose that. But based on a situation that happened to him, it caused him to get stressed out, started to have some physicality with hives and stuff like that. But it seems like the IMT or the resource group that the employee was trying to call in was pushing back on the employee using the benefit because the employee had disclosed personal information. So I have to ask you, obviously we were acting the part. Anthony was playing the employee, I was playing the leader. Anthony, do you feel like the employee should have disclosed that information, or should they had not shared that, or should it even matter?
Well, I don't think it's I don't think it really should have mattered, but the fact that they did disclose it, because sometimes how we, when we get in these jobs, we get in the workforce, they are sticklers about that. Because a lot of times they're just really more interested in coding than they are the actual employee. It's sad to say, but it's true. I know that you of all people know that more than anybody, because of all of your years in leadership, and you were one of the rare exceptions that actually did get your people and advocate for your people.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
I feel like it's a situation where there was no advocacy, right? Like there was zero. It was the absolute opposite. I was getting hot under the collar. I mean, to be honest with you, I felt like we were.
Well, wait, don't get too far ahead.
I
Don't get
know.
too
I'm
far
sorry,
ahead.
but
No, that's okay. I get it.
I'm over here still kind of sweating. But no, to answer your question, I feel like sometimes it's a slippery slope, right? When you disclose, I mean, because technically all you really have to do is just say that I'm sick. Maybe that person, my character, didn't have to disclose that. Just say, hey, I'm coding out sick. But because of his mental illness, he just disclosed everything. And I felt like it should have been met with more understanding as far as the situation, as opposed to harping on the fact that he didn't say this particular thing at this time, and that's why the situation happened the way it did.
No, and I would agree. That'll lead us into our next point. A leader, not a Lea-DUH-ship. A leader would absolutely, when the first call took place and the employee was having issues, this is the time you definitely want to put yourself in the employee's shoes, and you want to empathize with that, because how many times have we all forgotten something? And many times as leaders, we forget that we are human beings too. There is not one person I know on this planet that has not forgotten something at some point. And when you already have prior occurrences, this can cause an employee to be stressed out. And even if this employee has had prior occurrences, it's so important, talking to my leaders right now, is that you separate those situations from this situation. Each situation has to be looked at independently. You can't be piling stuff on, because this is one individual situation that you should address. So I want to encourage leaders, do not pile on. Despite what has happened to that employee before, you need to individually empathize with them, take what they say at face value until you know more of the information. So yeah, there was no empathy, and I agree. And I think another point that I'll bring on, how did this make you feel when she immediately went to, on the first call, not only did she not give empathy, but how did it make you feel when she talked about you being terminated?
Yeah, so it was a good perfect segue to that, because everything that you said, kind of led into that. As far as how it made me feel, it made me feel it there's a lot of levels, but it made me feel unheard, unappreciated. It made me feel like I was easily replaceable, right? And as from coming from the employee, when you want people to work a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
in for the company you work for, you have people under you. The goal is to lift them up so that they give you the best of themselves. That's why you were always such a great manager, because you always got great results, because you
Oh,
always
thank
made
you.
sure that you
Mhm.
put people in the proper headspace, emotional space, where they give you the best of themselves. So this situation made me feel small, really. I mean, that's kind of the word that just came to me right now. It made me feel really small. It made me feel like, you know, there was nowhere to turn to within this situation. I got the pushback from IMT, and then now I'm calling my direct, manager for some support to kind of assist with the situation, because I don't want to be reflected negatively from a work performance standpoint, attendance standpoint, any of that. And she absolutely just seconded the pushback that IMT gave me, as opposed to coming up with a way for us to have this not be the situation going forward. So small is the way it made me feel. It made me feel small and unappreciated and unseen.
And you know what's so funny too, also, was that this employee is calling you as a leader to say, I am struggling with mental illness. I'm going to encourage the future leaders, or the leaders that are already listening to this call, like saying the words terminated or fire, that is not something that should even be in your language. You're
Mm,
already going to step 5 when
mm,
we're just right now trying to gather everything that's happening right now. So you have to stay in that moment and not automatically go to the negative, because if someone does have a mental illness, you have no idea by you saying that word what could trigger after that. Let's talk about
mm,
suicide. You
mm,
understand? And
mhm,
now, if that happens and this conversation is recorded, now the family can make your company liable because you said something that can trigger a person that has said they have a mental condition. So it's so important as leaders. Don't go too far on whatever, just kind of gather the information, be very empathetic of the situation. And even, let's just say, if the person is someone, again, that you know is a constant offender, you still at that point have to be professional, take what they say, empathize with them, and um, a little bit more takes place. Let's go to scene 2. So scene 2, how did that make you feel, Anthony, as an employee, when she was supposed to follow back up with you, but you had to follow back up with her? Talk to us about that.
So back to the this was the unheard. It made me feel disposable. That's the word I'm looking for, because that was her attitude. First of all, she didn't get back at me at all, and then when I called her, she was dismissive towards me. She was having other conversations. She was, not really taking into account what I was saying. She was, it was as if it was not important for her on her radar. Like the only thing that was important for her was what she was doing. She didn't take into account my position in this, how that affects me from a work performance standpoint, how I'm seen throughout the company. It made me feel like I was dismissed and
Yeah.
disposable, easily replaceable. Like I didn't matter, like my issue didn't matter. She was having side conversations. She was dismissive. She was kind of repeating, what she had said before, as far as, you know, these instances, and you're new, and you need to know the way of the land. And there was just no understanding of my situation at all. It didn't make me feel very gung-ho about being a member of her team. And as a result, for all the leaders out there, that reflects the whole entire organization, because I've had two instances now, two interactions with two separate parties that treated me the same way. So that's how I felt as the employee. I felt like, where do I fit here? Because it doesn't seem like I matter.
Right, right. No. And I would have to say too, to my leaders that are listening, never, never, never should an employee ever have to follow back up with you. It is our responsibility to do our diligence to follow back up with that employee. And I would say, it's always been the golden rule is 72 hours, but that's for the average leader. I would say for people who are above and beyond and absolutely care about their people, you want to get back with them within 24 to 48 hours, because you have to understand, if you want your employee to be productive, they're holding that issue over their head. They're thinking about it. It's impacting their productivity, and then that impacts you. So the quicker you can bring resolution to this situation, the better it actually can help your output at your operation in your business. So never, ever, ever have where an employee has to follow back up with you. I don't care if you have to set a calendar invite, put something on your phone as a reminder, because I know as leaders, we're very busy, right? We have a lot of things going on, but you are paid a salary and you have a skill set that is different from everybody else that says you can manage all of these priorities. And so you have to prioritize an issue as such, because mental illness, right? You're talking about somebody's mental illness. B, your productivity. C, just your credibility with your employee. How do you think an employee feels every day? I mean, this employee had to wait 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And this is a true story for people that are wondering, is this made up? No, this is an actual true story that Anthony and I are actually acting out. Obviously, we're doing a reenactment, but this absolutely is a true story. So imagine every day this employee had to wait. I mean, imagine, just take a minute and put yourself in that shoes. That you're stressed out, you've had prior things that have already went on, your supervisor is giving you no empathy, your supervisor has thrown up the word terminated, and you've had to wait 2 weeks in order for them to call you back. And let me talk to you about something too, leaders, while we're on this point of calling back. You shouldn't need your boss to listen to a phone call. Your boss has way too much work to do. I've been a supervisor, I've been a manager, I've been associate director, I've been a director. As a director, I don't have time to hold your hand. As a supervisor, this person was a supervisor. Listen to the call, make the executive decision, period. If they disagree with that executive decision, then you bring me in. But the fact that you would have an employee to wait 2 weeks because you wanted me to listen to the call, that makes no sense. So I'm telling you, always put less on the bigger boss. And I'm talking to my leaders here. Don't put more work on your boss, right? Directors, associate directors, managers already have enough work. We put you in the leadership position so you can own things, not to put extra work on us. So I just wanted to tap into that, because again, we want our leaders to become above and beyond leaders, and everybody's not leaders. Let me just say that some people are just in a role and they're in a position and they're making employees miserable, which is why I created this channel, because kind of what Anthony brought up. So Anthony, you brought up something, legality. What made you go the legal route? What was it that had you to go that route?
Well, because she kept throwing up the termination, right? As you stated, she kept throwing up termination as if I don't have rights. She kept throwing up the termination as if I started yesterday. That's why I made it a point to say, hey, look, I've been on the job. I fulfilled my wait period. Yes, I haven't been on 17 years like some people, or even 5 years like others, or even 2 years like others. But I've been here. I've fulfilled my I've fulfilled my wait period. I've done all the things that are legally afforded to me per the agreement I signed when I decided to become an employee here. So the benefits I'm using, I'm not going into a negative bucket. They're not benefits I don't have. These are absolutely benefits I have. So if you're talking about, if you keep bringing up termination, like I'm going to get terminated, well, then that gives me the impression that it's going to be a wrongful termination. And I'm absolutely going to talk to somebody about that and seek counsel, because that's not something that's within the bylaws of what I signed up for. We all have orientation. We all sign up. We all have these orientations. We go through everything line by line, saying what everything is afforded. I'm afforded this luxury. I'm afforded this benefit. A situation happens that fits the circumstance. You keep talking about you're going to terminate me, or that I can become terminated, when I'm using everything that's appointed to me. So that's why I went that route. Number one, overall. And then secondly, as you know, it's a real situation. And that's, you know, these are things that not only happen in this real situation that we're enacting, but in other situations that we deal with, that we talk to people and have dealt with people and have to go through these things. So, and I think it's really important also for the employee to realize that they are empowered, right? That they're not
Yeah.
just the pawn and that they just can't be told what to do. It's important for the employee to realize that they're empowered, and it's important for the leaders to realize that the employees have empowerment. So you have to proceed with caution, if you will, when you come and are interacting with someone and are trying to tell them what can and cannot happen. You have to be mindful of all of the rights that this person has, because you don't want to put yourself and or the company in a negative light based on you feeling like you can just throw your weight around. So that's why I feel like it was critical to inject that into the scenario, because it's very important.
No, and I agree. And I think many employees, and I've often said this to many employees over the years, remember that your skill sets are transferable. You know, many times we get a job and we forgot that even if it's at Waffle House, if you work at Waffle House, you know how to mop, you know how to clean, you know how to cook, you know how to do hospitality, you know how to do, customer service, you know how to count money, you know how to run a register. These are future things that you can go into working at hotels. You can go into working at a banking. You can go and working for the Googles and the Amazons doing customer service. So always remember, as an employee, your skill set is transferable. And like Anthony said, legally, and I'm going to talk to supervisors, many companies are sued by a slip of a tongue of a leader.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be very careful, especially in places like California, where they are pro-employee. We have
Right.
got to be so careful to throw these terms of termination and fire, because if there is enough documentation that this employee can say that you did A, B, and C, now this company is liable. So I truly encourage, because I know we only have about 6 minutes left, I encourage leaders to realize you're not just representing yourself. You also are representing this corporation, this entity, this business, and we want to represent it in the best light. So sometimes it's better to say, okay, let me gather all the facts to this information, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can. It's better to do that than to say something that legally an employee can take. And if they keep documenting, and even if they write it or whatever, if they have chronological events that has taken place, this can impact an organization. So
Mm-hmm.
leaders, you have to be careful of what you say. Now, I'm not saying don't be human, because you don't want the employee to feel like you're standoffish, but you can be like, I'm sorry that this has happened. Give me a little bit of time, give them a time that you can commit to, and let me listen to the call. And as soon as I listen to the call, I will follow up with you on what next steps we're going to take. So you're professional, but you're also having a little empathy with it too. But you got to be so careful. I mean, I cannot tell you, if you just do Google search of how many companies have had to lose money because of leaders doing the wrong things with employees. And I want to lastly say, we'll wrap this up. Anthony, let me give you a couple of minutes, and I'll take the last couple of minutes, and let's go ahead and wrap it up. What would be your last words you want to say in this situation?
Well, so you brought up something very good that I wanted to touch on as well, as far as the obviously the legality of it, but the follow-up, right? That empathy, the follow-up. Even if you set a calendar and said, okay, I'm going to follow up, like you said, first of all, you can make the executive decision to listen to it, do all that. Don't put more on your, the big boss's plate. But then also what that does is that shows that you're at least paying attention to the situation. Even if the follow-up said, because this has happened not too long ago, even if the follow-up was, I don't have any new information right now, I listened to it, this is what I recommend, but it does require the big boss to do this. I'm just throwing out a scenario. At least you are keeping in contact with the employee. They feel like they're being heard, right? And so that lessens their angst. It lessens their desire to take these legal actions, right? Because you're constantly throwing up, what you could or could not do. And it lessens that desire for them to do that. So I would just say overall, like you said, have a little empathy, be professional, We're going to follow up and see what the next steps are. In those next steps, if other areas need to be addressed, then you find a way to address them in those next steps. But to just lead off with, well, you've had these instances, or, well, I'm just going to be dismissive towards you and then not follow back up, it just does not send a very good message to your employee. And as a manager, as a leader out there, your job is to bring out the best in the people that are working for you. It's just like a coach coaching a sport. You want your players to be at their best. You want your employees to be at your best. So these things, these nuggets that we're giving you are absolutely imperative to allow you to do that in the most effective and professional way.
I agree. And there's a quote, it says, I don't think people realize how much strength it takes to put your own self out of a dark place mentally. And I want to end with that. If you're in a job situation and you're not happy, and this is for leaders or employees, basically you have the choice in your hand of what you choose to do. Don't stay in that dark place. Again, your skill sets are transferable. Even as a leader, if you know that you're not capable of doing this job, step down. Doesn't make you bad. It makes you smart to realize I don't want this pressure of managing other people. This is not something for me. I thought it was going to be great. Money is not the most important thing. In this time and day, what's the most important thing? Talking about this scenario is our mental health.
1,000.
The only person you fail is yourself. Staying in a situation that you know is a dark place. And a dark place, obviously, if you're at a job, you're complaining about it every day, your spouse don't want to hear that every day. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're a leader, you know, a Lea-DUH-ship, a Lea-DUH complains all the time about their employees. And so you got to ask yourself, is this something that I really need to be doing? So guys, listen, subscribe if you like this content. We want to bring you more true situations and talk about it. I hope employees, you got something out of this from Anthony's perspective. I hope leaders, you've gotten something out of it from my perspective. And we plan to see you guys back a week from today. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey guys, so I'm just coming back after that commentary again. Don't forget to drop a comment at the bottom if you felt like we missed some points. Also, if you have some situations you would like us to talk about, put those in the comments too as well. We look forward to hearing from you and delivering you more content if you actually like things like this. And forgive us, this was our first one. So any technical difficulties, all those type of things, give us a little bit of grace this time. We'll get better as we go. And yeah, thanks guys. Have a great day.